If you want to know how to close multiple six figures in commission every year, but have a ton of fun while doing it, all for free, this conversation is going to be life changing for you. I bring on Jenny Celly, who gives you three critical takeaways. The first is how, as a new agent in a new market, she used social media and she reveals her entire strategy and exactly what to do, how she broke six figures in her first year, but she has continued to do that for 4 years straight now. And then she talks about how she created a local event strategy, which is mind blowing. She breaks down the entire process of how she's getting multiple clients every month and using it to also nurture her clients to get repeat and referral. But lastly, the third one, the most unexpected, she talks about the dark side of social media and a story that you must hear, especially if you're a parent, and some of the troubles that she ran into while showing her kids on social media, but what she did to combat that so that she could continue to leverage social media and include her family to continue being a top producer, a leader, and a role model to so many. So 2 quick things before bringing on Jenny Celly. Number one, I will link her content below so you can see exactly what we're referring to in the video. And number two, she is an incredible mentor and coach. I will link her calendar below in case you would like to book a call with her to talk about getting her mentorship and support for free to take your business to a completely new level. So without further ado, let's bring on Jenny and talk all things social media, local events, and the truth about what it's going to take to succeed by building your personal brand, including your family. All right, Jenny, so super excited to have you back again. I think this is our third time doing this. The growth that you've had since we talked last is unbelievable. And it's been really cool to see that, as you and I talked offline, that your business has now transitioned as you've started to get more experience and have more years under your belt. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into what you've been doing to really leverage referrals, which I know is where most people drop the ball. But for anybody that maybe didn't see any of the other couple of interviews we've done, why don't you introduce yourself, let people know where you're at, where you're from, and what you're up to.
Absolutely. So I'm Jenny. I'm actually based out of New Brunswick, Canada, in the Greater Moncton area. I have been in real estate for almost 4 years. I have been with EXP for almost 4 years as well. I've met Icon for 3 times, and I'm a mom of two. And I mainly focus on helping families purchase or sell their homes. That I would say is my niche because they can connect with me on that level of being a mom and being a family person.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how you've been able to leverage social media to really allow people to build this very genuine and authentic relationship with you, which I know comes with some benefits, some pros, some cons, and we can get into that before diving into, what you've done with these incredible events. But let's maybe kick things off with that about how, as a new agent coming from a different market, moving and relocating to now building a massive business where you've hit icon status. And for anybody that doesn't know what that is capping plus 20 transactions or more. How did you start to build that foundation straight out the gate? A lot of people are kind of fearful of like, nobody knows me. I don't have much to share. I'm a new agent, but you didn't let that get in your way. So how did you start to build that momentum, which has now transpired into, a large portion of your deals?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first moved to New Brunswick, obviously it was just me and my family, my husband, sorry, me, my two kids, and my husband. We didn't know anyone. And then I decided to do real estate 2 years into living in New Brunswick. Again, not a sphere, not a big sphere. I only knew a couple of people. My entire family was in Ontario. So one of the things for me was obviously to get known, to get out there. Obviously, I came across you, and you gave me that confidence, and across your YouTube videos, and you gave me that confidence that even though I was a new agent in a new market, I could do it. It was going to take work, but I could definitely do it. So I followed a lot of those tactics and that advice that you gave. One of the first things was I went door knocking in the middle of COVID, which was unheard of because nobody's going to open the door of COVID, but I mean, I put on my mask. I brought cookies to all my neighbors, like cookie tins, sealed, right? It wasn't baked or anything at home. They were all sealed, store bought. And nobody's going to slam the door in your face if you have cookies. That was my whole thing. And I was just like, I just want to introduce myself. I'm your neighbor, but I'm also a realtor if you have any questions, and handed them off the cookie with gloves and a mask. And, that was my way of getting started. So that was 50 houses that I did when I just started. And then I also started to show myself through social media, right? Especially at a time where people are looking and searching for everything on social media. I said, okay, I got to get out of my comfort zone and put myself out there, because prior to being a real estate, you would not see a picture of me on social media. I think I had about 20 followers on Instagram, and it was all like, aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers and, family. But again, it takes getting out of your comfort zone to be able to do something. So then I started to share about me, my story, be vulnerable, but also share, my expertise. I'm a realtor. I can help you. And, I want to help you navigate this market if you have any questions. So that's how I started, and just being consistent, right? And the more you do it, the easier it gets, because I find that a lot of people, a lot of agents find it hard to put themselves on camera. And guess what? It's not going to get easier unless you start to do it.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that's a huge barrier for people, and we'll kind of also maybe talk about your story related to social media, because I know that a lot of people are fearful for many reasons. They're fearful from getting in front of the camera, but they're also fearful of some of the repercussions of being vulnerable and transparent about your life. But I love that you talk about just getting started, because you've got a YouTube video that was, I think, shot on an iPhone, edited by yourself, that went on to do probably over 100,000 GCI in like this 5-minute video. And that was something that anybody can do. And it was really interesting, because in your market, very few were doing it. And so many people talk about the fact that they're in this market and there's no competition and nobody's doing it, but then they don't even do it. And you decided to take that leap of faith, and it paid off. And it's not some overly produced video. It's not something that's lengthy, but you just provided value and you served. Do you want to kind of talk about that journey of getting started on YouTube, and just, understanding done is better than perfect, and doing what it took to just get something out there?
Absolutely. And funny enough, that video is still giving me leads, right? I've put out other videos, but people will reach out to me and they actually go back to, I found you on that video where you're saying why you moved to New Brunswick, and you talked about you and your family. But again, sometimes I think we limit ourselves either into thinking, well, I'm too new, I can't do it, I'm not good in front of the camera, I don't look a certain way. And it's just about doing it. So when I did that video, again, based on the fact that you said, okay, you're going to start YouTube, do this, and that, and basic videos like, why do you want to move to such a specific city? So that was mine. Why move to New Brunswick? Or here's 5 reasons why we moved to New Brunswick. Shot on an iPhone, tripod. I didn't even have a mic. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because sometimes your mind, if you don't take advantage of that moment, your mind's going to convince you of 1,000 ways of why you should not do things. So I say just take action, whether it's perfect or not. What I edited in was CapCut. I think it was the free version back then, because again, I was just getting started. So Canva, that gave me a lot of the background and the B-roll, and my own personal images on my phone, which is why I think people kind of resonated with that video, because I was talking about New Brunswick, but also showing my family and how we experienced New Brunswick. So again, it's just as you said, you got to do it. It's better than having it on your phone and being too afraid to just post it. It took me, I think, about maybe 2-3 hours to do that video from production until I posted it. And again, it's had 3 years and it's still giving me leads.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's the leverage that it can create is so powerful. And again, I think one of the things that you've done so well is just that relatability, being able to help people understand. A move can be scary, a transition can be daunting, but you've done it too. And that can be a superpower. You see a lot of people, with perspective issues, where they say, well, I'm new to a market, so I don't know anybody, and nobody knows who I am, and what knowledge do I have? But you can also use that as a superpower to say, hey, I can relate to you because I've done it too. I've gone through the scary emotions, and here's how I handled it, and here's how I can help you. So I love that you've really taken this very genuine approach to sharing your journey and being able to connect to people. And that really, kind of transcends into what I'd love to talk about is you've also really built this very genuine personal brand with tapping into your family. And there's, positives and negatives that come with that territory. And I'd love for you to maybe talk about the pros first, and then maybe we can talk about a story that relates to the cons, because I think it's going to give people some hope that when things don't go as planned, there is hope at the end of the day. Um, but that ability for you to connect with other families is so powerful.
Absolutely. So the pros about being on social media, being able to tell your story, and why I love YouTube and Instagram is because people get to know you, they get to connect with you. So when they give you a call, they already know they want to work with you, and that's actually a beautiful thing because instead of you chasing leads, again, the people are coming to you. They're like, Jenny, I know you. I know you're a mom. And it's funny, I've had a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, hey, how's Mateo doing with his hockey? And you're like, wow, you have been like following along. It's crazy. People are watching, right? And that's the really neat thing about it. And what I tell a lot of people as well is, yeah, it doesn't matter if there's, already a video that says why you want to move to New Brunswick. The way you are going to portray it is going to be very different than the way I portray it. The clients that you are going to attract are going to be very different than the ones that I attract, right? So do it, right? So there's, 10 other videos about why you should move to New Brunswick. Do your own version. So again, that's the beauty. People begin to trust you when they see you on video, and they know they want to work with you. So these almost become like your perfect clients because they've connected with you already. So that is one of the most beautiful things that I find about social media, that you can get your message out to people that you can connect with and that you can genuinely help out. So that's the positives about social media. And obviously, with it comes a lot of negativity too, right? As everything, nothing is perfect. There's a lot of trolls on social media. You'll start to get negative messages, but those are things that unfortunately you have to grow thick skin and push through that, because you can't just let a few people ruin what you've worked for, ruin that positive message you're trying to give, and how you're trying to help people out, and get just a few people kind of crush all of that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And, that's going to be something people are curious about, is how do you overcome that? Because I know that that's a fear that constantly weighs on people, of showing too much and being too open, and they want to have some sort of privacy in this world where, I think it's understood that privacy is, not very abundant and nobody really has it. But what did it take for you to kind of go through certain situations where you felt like your privacy was compromised? You felt like, maybe I need to stop doing this because your family was at risk. How did you mentally overcome some of those traumatic experiences that you had to go through?
Yep, absolutely. So me, when I think of myself, yes, I think of myself as Jenny, professional woman. But for me, my biggest role is being a mom, right? So if somebody doesn't know me and doesn't know that I'm a mom, that means that they truly don't know me. So throughout my social media and getting people to get to know me, I have showcased that I'm a mom. This is my most important job. Really, I do everything so I can raise these kids, so I can be a role model to them. So I will include my children in stories. You know what I mean? YouTube, again, I did that whole family one where it was like, this is why we moved to New Brunswick. And then I did a follow-up video where I said, I'm going to include my kids, and they were okay with it. I said, you know what, guys, let's do an interview with you guys as to, we've been living in New Brunswick now for 3, 4, 5 years. And if there's kids moving out this way, what tips would you give them? So they agreed to it, and they're like, yep, they loved it. We did it. And again, it was us being vulnerable, me being vulnerable, showing my children, talking to my kids, people knowing their names. I put that story out on YouTube, and it started to get a lot of views. And unfortunately, the ugly part of social media, I did get a phone call that kind of shook my world, made me rethink everything, really, because again, my children are my priority, where they were just saying certain things. It was a gentleman that called, funny enough, asking about one of my listings, and that phone call turned into us apparently going to meet the next day at a listing. And then he, before he hung up, he said that I should bring my daughter, and then went on to say a lot of things that just I would never say, but they were not nice. Obviously, this was reported to the police. The police is taking care of that. But that really shook my world, where I said, I am done. I am done with real estate. I cannot do this, because they touched the most important part of my life, which is my kids. And I remember calling Mike and saying, Mike, thank you so much for being such an amazing leader. I am where I am thanks to all the help and all the guidance you've given me, but I am done. And Mike was amazing. We talked, he helped me out through this. And really, why would you give up everything I've worked hard for, which is including for my children, over one person's negativity and evilness, I say, right? Because these people have nothing better to do than for, to throw it all away. And obviously it took me a while to realize that and be like, that's true. I'm about to throw away, 3 years of my hard work for myself, for my family, over one person and one phone call being evil and talking about my kids, right? Obviously everybody is different. You can put your family on social media if you want. There is no right or wrong answer. It's what works for you and your family. And again, for me, being a mom is the most special thing in the world for me, and I want people to know that, right? But I'm still here. You got to get through that fear, and you got to keep at it, right? And I just obviously I take different measures now. My kids are still on social media once in a while because again, it is me, and I am not going to hide the fact that I am a very proud mom and that I do this for these kids. But I didn't let that one person, even though I was afraid as hell, stop that, like crush my career. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that's the
It's
evilness of social media.
yeah, and while I haven't been through anything like that, I've seen my fair share of the evil side of social media as well, and fabrication of things, and it's not easy, but again, I think it's so beautiful to see that. I think when both you and I went through our own traumatic experiences related to social media and recognition and influence and being, visible, you always have to go back to your why and why are you doing this, and remind yourself that this comes with the territory, and it's unfortunately a byproduct of it in the world that we live in. But when you can remind yourself of the mission that you're on and who you're doing it for, it can help you push through some of these difficult times. Now, you've built so much momentum in your business, but I really like that we're in this phase right now where it's almost a transition, not just a transition in your style of business, but a transition in the market as a whole. And one of the things that I've admired about you so much is your adaptability, your ability to say, this has worked for me in the past, but things are changing. So I'm going to change. And a lot of people stay stuck in real estate. They hit a plateau because they're very set in their ways. This is how I've done business. It's how I will always do business. Doesn't matter if the market changes. This is me. But you've been able to thrive and again, do almost six figures GCI in 1 month just based on being able to mitigate these changes by going with the flow. I'd love for you to talk about the importance of adaptability and what you've been able to do to now transition your business as you start to reach maturity of those social media leads that are now becoming, referral and repeat clients.
Absolutely. And adapting is crucial, right? When I first started, there was a big boom in my province in New Brunswick, from out of province buyers, right? And for me, I was like, yes, I can focus on that because I was one of those people coming during that boom. So that's why I started putting out, my story and videos, and most of my clients were out of province clients. Obviously, 3 years later, that starts to wear down, and you're like, okay, what's happening? Things are shifting here. And again, you got to shift with your market. You got to pay attention to what is happening. So what I was telling you, before we started our interview, is that New Brunswick opened its doors to a lot of professional immigrants, right? So we are getting those people that started arriving 2, 3 years ago, wanting now to purchase a home. And I'm like, okay, right? There's something that I want to start focusing on. And here's why, because I too was an immigrant. I arrived in Canada when I was 6 years old. My mom was an immigrant. And I'm like, I also have something to give you, like, my experience, but also the fact that I would love to help you out. You know what I mean? Because I was once in your shoes as well. So now I have also started to shift and do seminars, informative seminars for newcomers to Canada on how they can also be homeowners, right? So again, it's just expanding, saying, okay, the market is changing. It's no longer Ontario people moving out, in bundles to New Brunswick. They have slowed down. how can I continue to grow, right? The other thing is that now I almost have 4 years in real estate. Well, guess what? All those buyers and all my clients from 4 years ago, their real estate needs have changed. They want to now sell. They have referred. So it's lovely getting all those referrals, selling those houses that I helped them purchase 4 years ago. Now me listing them and putting them on the market. So I also have to keep in mind that I have to take care of them. I have to nurture them, right? With pop buys, just random stopping by, dropping something off, special occasions, Easter, dropping things off for their kids, just being top of mind. You can't be that forgotten secret agent if you want to make it in this business.
Certainly. And, you know, a lot of agents kind of sit there and say, okay, we're in this golden era. Everybody's moving from this market to my market. It's incredible. But then as soon as the tides turn, it's almost like a woe is me. Now what do I do? Oh my God, there goes my pipeline. Instead of understanding that concept that it's always a good market for somebody, you just
Yes.
have to find that opportunity. Now, before getting into the event, and because I love that, since that's what I did with investors that really catapulted my business, how did you stay top of mind? Because you kind of alluded to Popeyes and a few simple things. And I love that because a lot of people tend to overcomplicate what it takes to nurture your database or your past clients. And, when you look at stats, the average agent struggles to grow their business because they go one by one by one. They're just always seeking the next new deal. But when you look at people that are properly nurtured, the average properly nurtured client should turn into 7 deals over the lifespan of your career through repeat and referral. And now you're going by seven by seven by seven. But that comes with consciously putting effort into maintaining that relationship. And I think a lot of people really avoid that. And the cheapest clients you're going to get are repeat and referral because you don't have to market to them. You just get to spend your time to love on them. So, what does that look like over your first 3, 4 years to just maintain those relationships so they actually do want to work with you again?
Absolutely. And it's funny, yes, because now that I've been doing this for a couple of years, you have enough people where new leads are wonderful, great, but you have these, all these people before that already know you, that already like you, because if not, they wouldn't have done a deal with you. So again, keeping top of mind. So one of the things that I do, using KV Core is obviously everybody gets a birthday email, and the ones that I'm really close to, I'll send a text message on top of that as well. A lot of my clients will follow me on social media, and I follow them back because I want to know what's happening with them, right? If there's something special that happened in their lives, I congratulate them. I had a very special family for me when they were one of my first families when I started real estate, and those clients became grandparents. And I helped their kids buy a house. So when they became grandparents, what I did, just random, sent them a photo shoot session so they can, as a family, get a photo shoot with this amazing photographer who was also my client and had just moved here. So not only was I helping my photographer client, but I was also, giving that to my clients on now becoming grandparents, right? So those small little details or small little things that you can do that mean the world to a lot of people, right? Again, something as simple as like, hey, it's your birthday, happy birthday, hope you have an amazing day. Every single one of my clients will receive at Christmas time a card and a coffee gift card. So just being top of mind. I know it's very easy with all the hustle and bustle and you're running every day, but you have this whole sphere of people that already know you and trust you and love you. Hey, take advantage of that as well, right? Don't forget about them instead of working to get all these new people and try to convince all these new people to work with you.
Yeah, certainly. I love that, especially since it's, you can tell the way that you operate your business, you're always doing it and coming from a place of serving, of helping, of genuinely caring. Like to choose a photographer that's a past client over somebody you Googled, to do something like a photo shoot instead of just a bottle of champagne or something like that. Like you can tell that you genuinely care. And I think there's a lot of people that put commission over clients, and, they can go through the motions of staying top of mind. But if it's always focused on selling and not serving or transactions, you're really going to struggle to build that relationship, and they're going to tell or feel like, okay, here we go again, they're just doing this because instead of really feeling the connection and saying, wow, this is so personal. Like this is really, really cool. And I love that. So
Yeah.
with these events, what does that looks like? Because events are a really cool way to bring people together and establish relationships, but you've also tapped into niches with it associated with certain types of clients. So, what type of events have you been seeing good luck with and results from? And what does it look like from setting it up? Where are you hosting them? How are you marketing it? And kind of the whole synopsis of how you're carrying these out.
Absolutely. So one of the first events that I started doing early on, I think a year into having my real estate license, was creating a kids fest in the town that I live in, right? And I tried to make that yearly, which is called the Sackville Children's Kids Fest, right? So for me, it was important so the community would know that I wanted to help on my community, that I wanted to be a positive or create a positive impact in my community. At no point in the festival am I out there saying, hey, I'll sell your house. I was just literally, I was standing there giving out balloons and treats to the kids. And we had entertainment, we had llamas, we had music, we had bouncy castles. And it was just also my way of saying thank you to the community, because I do love the community that I live in. I have children in that community. And again, for me, being a mom is huge. And what better way than to do something for the children, right? And again, people either attract to you or not, but they're like, okay, so that's that lady that did that. Oh yeah, she's also a realtor and she does that festival every year for the kids. Something positive, and then hey, they want to work with me. Great. But getting to know yourself in a positive way in your community. That's why I started doing that event. There was also a Hispanic event. We do several Hispanic events with another agent on my team, Katarina Lenz. So she's also from Colombia, and we saw that the Latin American community in New Brunswick was growing, and we said, hey, why not do an event for them where they can get to know about us, but we can also give something in return? So we'll sponsor a lot of Hispanic events. We've done Hispanic dances, right, where there's food and everything, and just welcoming people. And a lot of those people get to know each other, and it becomes a community. And it's nice to see that we were able to become a part of that, right? By creating this event, a lot of people that are newcomers got to know each other. The last one that I did, which was again welcome or informing newcomers to Canada on how they can purchase a home. Again, just reaching out to that niche. And it's very simple. A lot of people complicate themselves. I'm like, well, how am I going to do an event? It's not hard at all. Have a plan, book the venue, right? Whoever you're going to do it with, sit down and be like, all right, between this time and this time is where our event is going to be. I'll just give you an example of how easy the home seminar one, the newcomer home seminar was. We literally booked a place. I spoke to an excellent mortgage broker. I said, hey, I want you to be part of this, because obviously the biggest information is going to come from you on how they can qualify. We booked it. We bought donuts. We bought coffee. We put the invitations through Eventbrite, which is also free, right? So people can sign up through Eventbrite. We put it out on social media. I was able to use ManyChat, which was awesome, right? Where I did a video on Instagram inviting people and saying, hey, just write the word seminar, or DM me the word seminar, and you're going to get the link. And instead of posting a link on my bio, so like AI is making it even easier, where literally people will just write something on your post and they're going to get that link that's going to register them to your event. So it's super easy. It's just about doing it. And you meet so many wonderful people, and the networking that happens, and the fact that your name is getting out there as somebody that's actually informing people is wonderful. So again, the process is not hard. Have a date and then work backwards from there.
Yeah, and it just comes down to making that commitment and figuring it out along the way.
Yeah.
Very similarly, I had no clue what I was doing, but it's like, okay, we've got free tools at our disposal. Let's figure this thing out. But what I love about how you built your business and why I think your brand is so strong is that every single thing that you do is so genuine and authentic to you. It's moms or Latinas or relocation slash immigration, and those are all things that are just natural to you. I find sometimes people will hear that and they'll say, wow, like if immigration is huge, then maybe I should tap into that. But can you relate to that? Can you connect with that? And you might be able to tap into that, but is it genuine? Are you having fun with it? Are you doing it because you care about serving these people, or are you doing it because you think it's going to be a quick commission check? And that's why people connect with you on such a deep emotional level, because it's very easy to see how authentic everything is, because it's just your life, it's who you are, and you step into that. And that's why I encourage people to listen to what Jenny's sharing, but to reflect inward and be honest with yourself of, for me, it was the car community, it was investors, it was first time home buyers and entrepreneurs, startup entrepreneurs. Like, that was authentic to me. And I did really well with it. And if people start to do what's authentic to them, you'll have so much more fun with it as well. Um, which I love. And I think talking about that, you know, really authentic approach to your whole business, one of the things that you're a huge advocate of is collaboration over competition. I think now more than ever, where the market's a little crazy, at the time of recording this, it's election day. Who knows what's going to happen in the States? And there's this constant fear, this constant, you look at these Facebook groups of realtors, and people are tearing each other down or calling each other out or being so negative. But when I look at all these strong agents that have very incredible brands, they're just loving on people. They're collaborating with people, and the deals go better. Their clients are served better. Do you want to talk about what that journey has been like for you? Because unfortunately, you seem to be like an anomaly in this space, and hopefully, as people listen to this, we can change just a little bit of that.
So I'm a firm believer, Mike, that the energy that you give out is the energy that you give in, right? I think that nothing in real estate and in making it is a secret. It's all out there. The different things that you could do are all out there, right? And I always tell people, and I'm happy to help people, whether they're an agent in my company or in my brokerage, even agents from other brokerages that have reached out. They're like, Jenny, how do you do this? I will gladly tell them, and I will tell them step by step what it is that I do, because again, what you do, we could be putting out the exact same video, Mike, but we're going to say it completely differently, and we're going to attract completely different people. That's just the way it is. So why keep it to yourself? Again, for me, it's more of that, let me share it, that abundance. I have always been like that in everything in life, right? I'm like, I have nothing to hide. And if I can help somebody, one day my kids, somebody's going to want to help them out as well, hopefully, because I taught them how to do that, or that positive energy is going to come back to them. So I have many agents, both in my team, my brokerage, and outside of my brokerage, say, hey, can you explain to me, how do you do YouTube? How do you do this? And I'll sit with them and I'll teach them what I know, obviously, right? And I'm like, do it. And they're like, oh, but I want to do that video, but you already did it on YouTube. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Right? I'm like, do every single video I have done on YouTube. That doesn't matter to me. You're putting your own spin on it. Copy every single hashtag that I use. That's okay. Right? So I'm all about sharing, because again, it's just that positive energy that you start to attract to yourself as well, right? So if an agent comes up to me wanting help, even if they have nothing to do with me, I will gladly help them out.
And that goes back to, mindset. Because I think, I recently recorded we're about to launch a podcast, and the first episode that we did was on the power perspective. And now more than ever, as things are shifting, in the States, you have the NAR settlements, you have all these different things that are evolving in real estate. Artificial intelligence is coming in, and, there's the perspective of fear and there's the perspective of faith. And what's kind of been your journey when it comes to maintaining a strong mindset to go through such a crazy industry that has so much volatility, so much ambiguity? There's so much unknown when you're stepping into this space where you have to learn things yourself, get outside of your comfort zone. What are you learning from? What kind of helped you develop such a powerful mindset? And any sort of words of advice for people that are maybe beating themselves up or have a negative perspective toward the opportunity that we have being in this industry?
Absolutely. I think it's crucial who you surround yourself with, right? That positivity. Again, when I started real estate, I came across your videos, and your videos have been tremendous for me, right? Again, that positive mindset. Because when I was looking into real estate, I reached out to some local realtors who said, it's going to take you 6 months to a year to even get paid. You need to get out a line of credit. It was just dooms and dooms. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. That's way too scary. I'm never going to make it. I have a family to feed. And then I came across your videos, and you're like, as a new agent, you could do like 100K, if not more, your first year. And I'm like, what? Right? So surrounding yourself by those positive people, and being in the room with all those go-getters, right? Those people that you admire, knowing that, yeah, there's struggles to get to where you want to get to, but it is possible, because not every day is it going to be a happy go day where you're like, yes, I got this, right? You are going to have those days where you're down. And again, just being around those people that are positive, that are go-getters, that want to see you succeed, has been crucial. I'm lucky enough to be in a great brokerage, in a great group, the Wolf Pack, and I've met wonderful people, like yourself, Mike. And when I go to these conferences, like the last conference we were in, and my Let spoke, he was that amazing speaker, and it was just, I was in tears, right? You need to hear that. You need to hear that this path is not easy, but you need to surround yourself with those positive people. Listen to audiobooks or read a book on mindset. It's, if you don't do that, it is very hard to make it out in this. It could be a very lonely business, being an entrepreneur, not just real estate, right? So you need to surround yourself with that positivity. Listen to those videos, those podcasts, read those books, and just surround yourself with those positive people, friends, family, that are pushing you forward.
Yeah, certainly. And, it's kind of like that Mike Tyson quote of everybody has a plan till you get punched in the face. And I think where so many agents go wrong is they get started in real estate with all this excitement, and then they get punched in the face. And then they're somehow shocked about that, and then they kind of like tuck their head in their little turtle shell and bury themselves, and then they just beat themselves up over it. But when you look at people like you and other people that have been successful, you're going into the ring knowing you're going to get punched in the face. Like, this stuff is going to happen. That things aren't going to work out. A friend's going to work with a different, agent, or a family member. The market's going to shift. You're going to have bad years. That's inevitable. And, being involved in a lot of this coaching lately, all the coaches that I ever have say it's 80% psychology and 20% tactical. It really comes down to mindset and standards, and being able to uphold yourself when things get difficult, to be able to push through the inevitable, because it's guaranteed to happen. Don't be so surprised when something doesn't go as planned. Just prepare for it instead of, expecting the best and not planning for the worst. So I love that you've been able to have that perspective toward things. And, let's talk about environments, because that's been a huge thing that you've created. And I think that's a very special thing. You're sitting in this new office. You've got incredible people that you've surrounded yourself with. What has that been like for you in order to establish that sense of community and not be so lonely? Because a lot of people are on this journey and they say that it's lonely, but oftentimes, or every time, it doesn't have to be. A lot of people keep themselves in that lonely position. And you decided to say, I don't want it to be that way. I'm going to create a collaborative community. What has that been like for you in building your own little ecosystem?
Yeah, no, it's been wonderful. Again, we have a great group of agents in New Brunswick, and we formed a wonderful group that, even prior to us having an office, which is, we were super proud of this achievement. This week, we opened up our little office where we can just come in, do videos like this, or just meet up and be here. But yeah, real estate can be very lonely, but you have to, again, get out of that comfort zone. You need the help. Reach out to someone. Even though we weren't seeing each other every day, we have a chat group where we know, even when a person writes, you're like, that person's not okay, give them a phone call, because again, the next day it could be you in that position where you need somebody to uplift you. So like I said, in New Brunswick right now, we have excellent agents, and we, the beauty about it is that we all want to see each other grow, right? So we're all here to help each other. We know that it's not easy. We know that it has hard moments where, you want to quit at least once a month, you want to quit, but we're here for each other, right? So we've all become a family. You've seen us when we go to a lot of these events, the New Brunswick crew, and that has been a beautiful thing. And the other thing is that we've become a great referral system for each other, right? The other day, well, when I was doing the home seminar, the newcomers home seminar, I was saying, look, if you don't work with me, that's okay. But I have agents that speak German, that speak Spanish, that speak French, that speak Punjabi. Because sometimes you want somebody in your language, I got you. You know what I mean? I know excellent agents that can help you. So it's just knowing that as well, right? That wherever you are, even if you know that that person might is looking for something different, think about your colleagues as well, right? Refer them as well. So we've created that mindset within our group of, if I can't help that person out because maybe I don't jive with them, I know somebody who will. So not doing it just for yourself, do it thinking of others, and that has made a huge impact in our group here.
Yeah, certainly. And that really goes back to your perspective and mindset of abundance. And so many people would do these events and say, I'm the person to work with and I'm going to be the best for every single person. Instead of having that humility to say, hey, I'm good for some people. But also, if you're looking for somebody that makes you feel more comfortable in your native language, I've got that too. And looking at it from that abundant perspective. And that goes back to what you said earlier of attracting the type of energy that put into the universe and looking at the law of attraction. When you come from a place of abundance, most people are going to say, well, that's me losing opportunities. But based on the law of attraction, you end up getting way more in the end when you're doing it from a place of care, out of a place of love and genuinely wanting to help people. Now, you brought up the events, and again, and I'm just genuinely curious because I know people are going to ask this. You said that you partnered with a lender, a mortgage broker. What were you contributing to those events when it comes to people looking to, buy their first homes as immigrants, or first-time home buyers?
Yep. So I think it's crucial when you do a homeowners event to have a lender there, because they are going to tell the clients how they can qualify. And then I come after, right? Where I say, okay, now you have your pre-approval. Now you can go buy that house. This is what the process is like, because it could be very stressful and it could be very different than, what it is like in your country to buy a house. So I just give them the basics, right? Of like buying a house in Canada. This is what it entails. This is what we look for. I'm going to be guiding you throughout the whole way, but it's just a basic glimpse of, okay, now you're pre-approved, but this is where I come in to help you, right? So just giving them the basic process, how I'm going to help them, what we can expect on them until they get the keys in their hand, right? So I think it's always crucial to partner up, and it makes those events way more successful, right? Because I know that when I do these events, what's talking percent of the time is going to be the mortgage lender, because most of the questions are going to come to him. But that's the crucial part about buying a house. You need to have that bank pre-approval, because most people cannot buy cash, right? So you also have to think, okay, and that's when you have to reach out for help. You're like, okay, I want to do this, but how can I make this better, right? How can I make for, like, okay, I was well prepared, like, Jenny, you gave me the information I needed, even if it wasn't you talking the entire time. So that's why I think for events like that, it's crucial to get a mortgage broker or any kind of event, to get that backup or to get that extra piece that's going to make your event even stronger, a solid event.
That's awesome. I love that. And again, I've seen so much success with events, and I encourage everybody to give that a shot because it's one of those things similar to what you alluded to in the beginning with door knocking is if you do what others aren't willing to, you'll get what others won't. And that's one of those going the extra mile initiatives of getting outside of your comfort zone. And it's so simple. It might not be easy for some people, but it's so simple that if you end up being one of the very, very few who do it, the results are enormous because it's such an uncrowded space. Now, you've got some really interesting perspectives in terms of your journey with EXP. And that's something that I'm really curious to ask you because you obviously came over to EXP as a new agent. I'd love to know your take on what that was like stepping into a cloud based brokerage as a new agent. But now you've experienced it as a multi year top producer and an experienced agent. So, my question is, what has that been like for you in terms of your experience going from new to experience at EXP? And what can people expect when partnering with you and your incredible community?
Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely 6 months into being a realtor, I moved over to EXP. So when I went from your traditional brokerage style with an office with many people, where I felt very lonely. Though I felt like, oh my God, it's this new kid on the block that nobody talks to or says anything to, moving over to a cloud-based brokerage where I'm not physically seeing the people, but I'm connecting with somebody daily where they're helping me, where they're giving me that confidence. So it was, night and day, right? That's another thing that I do appreciate about EXP. That even new agents, because a lot of agents will reach out to me, new agents, and they're like, well, is it for me because there's no office? And I'm like, you know what? You are going to get more support than if you were at a brick and mortar. And I'm not lying, because there's a special program for new agents moving into EXP. And again, our community in general, we are there. We want to see each other succeed, right? We own this company. We want to see it grow. So we will help each other out. One of the reasons why we now have an office, because I'll be honest, most of the time my office is my car. I'm on the go. I'm not sitting at my office. It's very, random that I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the office, right? But one of the reasons is, one, so we can have a place to connect as agents, as colleagues, right? We're like, all right, we're going to take our Tuesday call with Mike here. We're going to, do our Atlas Alliance call here. We'll take it from the office or whatever it is. And now that I've started to do seminars as well, there's another agent that also wants to do more seminars. We're like, all right, we have an office space where we can do these seminars and do them monthly if we want, right? But other than that, I feel like as a realtor, you're always on the go. As a realtor that's producing, you're always on the go. So having the office is not the crucial part. Having the support system is the crucial part. And that's what I was able to find at EXP, that if I had a question, it would get answered within minutes. You know what I mean? So an office to me meant nothing when I was a new agent, because I was at the office, but I was zero, sitting by myself, having nobody to talk to. Without an office, moving to EXP, I was talking to somebody at all times, right? So that's not the crucial part. I think what's important is the community that you are in. I have found that community. I am lucky to say I have found it. And for new agents that come and approach me, I tell them, look, this is different. This is not your usual brokerage where everybody fends for themselves. We want to help you grow. We want to see you succeed. Right? This is a different community, and that's the beauty about EXP. And for me, like I said, I will help out any agent, whether they're part of EXP or not. My whole point is, look, if I know it and I can help you in any way, happy to do it. So anybody that comes and wants to join me, they are definitely going to be part of an excellent community of realtors, and we're there to help each other out.
That's so powerful, and I've seen it because I've seen you, even within EXP. Unfortunately, you see sometimes this internal competition between different downlines and different sponsors and all this kind of stuff, and you've created this beautiful synergy with so many other people and so many different organizations where you really are collaborating. Like, you're actually traveling together, you're going and hosting masterminds together in person. Even people that the average would consider as a competitor, and you've just completely blown that out of the water and built this very genuine, warm, inviting space for people to be a part of. And I think coming into this new year, people need change. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And there's a lot of people that are coming to around the time we're going to be releasing this, realizing that the year didn't go as planned. And if you don't make a drastic change, it might not go any better next year. Usually that compounds and makes it even more difficult. So the fact that people have an opportunity to align with somebody like you that's built this predictable production of strength and collaboration, and the fact that you actually practice what you preach, is such a massive opportunity. And I know that you and I will pour into anybody for free that's looking to take their business to the next level. So any kind of final words of wisdom, Jenny?
Final words of wisdom, again, from one of the awesome events that I went to, that you hosted with at my led, is I tell everybody that as a parent, we're always telling our kids, you could do this, you got this. And one of the biggest form of neglect for our kids is not to follow our own dreams, right? An example for your children or for your loved ones: follow those dreams. Know that the successful people are no different than you. The only thing is that they took action and they weren't afraid, right? Or you could be afraid, but do it being afraid, right? You just got to do it, Mike. That's my whole thing. It's like, life is not easy, but you can definitely make it a great one.
I love that. Well, that's such a perfect way to tie this up in a beautiful red bow, Jenny. Again, Thank you so much for always being vulnerable, always being honest, always leading by example. And again, anybody that's up to this point, I encourage you to take this incredible opportunity, book a Zoom call with Jenny, talk about, what we can do to help elevate your business and make sure that over the next 12 months you actually exceed your goals instead of falling short like you might have up to this point. So I will link all of Jenny's incredible content below, and make sure you go give her a follow. And if you really are serious about scaling, book that Zoom call, and we'll see you in the next one.